Are delighted that you're here. I'm going to jump right in and get started because I know we're all excited to start cooking with Chef Amy. So thank you so much for joining us today during Johns Hopkins Alumni Weekend Goes Virtual 2021. Today we are here with Chef Amy von Lange to make Asian dumplings in this virtual workshop. So my name is Erica Youngst. And today I'm both here as the Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving at the Bloomberg School, and as a proud Johns Hopkins alumna, having graduated from Peabody with my master's degree. I'm here in my kitchen, and my 17-year-old daughter is going to be joining me. So I not only have the pleasure of kicking things off, but will also facilitate the Q&A during the session. So please feel free to submit questions via the chat function at the bottom of your screen, and we'll happily address them along the way. So now to introduce our chef. Amy von Lange started her professional career in industrial sales, but slowly developed a passion for the hospitality industry. After working with Jerry Pellegrino at his first restaurant, Corks, as the sales and private events manager, she found her way into culinary school at the International Culinary Center, originally founded as the French Culinary Institute in New York City. For her externship, she spent 6 months, first at the ALMA, La Scuola Internazionale di Cucina Italiana in Parma, and then cooking in the Hotel Villa Igeia in Sicily. Upon returning to Baltimore, she became the executive chef at the Admiral Fell Inn, located in the heart of the historic Fells Point neighborhood. And there she was responsible for preparing creative menus and catering everything from weddings to corporate retreats. Today, Amy is coming to us from Schola Cooking School, a place she co-founded where people could come together, put on an apron, and learn about where food comes from and how to cook it. All of their classes are designed to intrigue the beginner as well as the seasoned veteran in the kitchen. And our other guest today, John Neubauer, when not in the role of Amy von Lange's sous chef, is the coordinator of the World Languages program for Baltimore City Public Schools. There, he develops curricula and assessment, provides professional development, and mentors world language teachers. In his free time, he enjoys traveling to other countries. Hopefully that will return soon, exploring new cultures and tasting new foods. So whether you are cooking along or just watching for fun, we really hope you enjoy this. Again, please add any questions along the way in the chat. And without further ado, here is Chef Amy.
Ah, here we are. Okay, sorry, it throws me off. Good morning. How is everybody today? Good. Here with my friend John, who we are both vaccinated. We got fully vaccinated last month. Very happy to say that. Very happy to be vaccinated.
Absolutely.
So we are going to be standing pretty close to each other, and we have kind of maintained our little pod together as well. So today we're going to be making some Asian dumplings. This is really fun for the kids. If you have kids, it's fun to eat. It's fun for the adults. And we're just going to get started. I would like to, so what we're going to do is, I have everything already lined up. So it's what's called mise en place. So mise en place is everything in place. So I've got my sesame seeds, I've got my vinegar, I've got my sesame oil, soy sauce, shrimp. I've got some pork here, and I've got some cabbage for the vegetable dumplings. All right. So what we're going to do is, we're going to start getting everything together. And that's pretty much what we're doing. Can you talk about a little bit of your experience in Asia?
Absolutely. So the last time I was in Asia, I was in China, in the northern part of China, in a town called Harbin, which is the dumpling capital of China. So there we had all sorts of dumplings, from dessert dumplings to savory dumplings to soup dumplings.
Soup dumplings are really good.
Amazing. And it was just a fascinating experience, and I highly recommend it once we can travel again to explore the area.
That would be really nice to travel again.
So what are you doing right now?
So I'm gonna start with the dipping sauce. I like to do everything with the vegetables first, so I don't have to clean my cutting board a bunch of times. So as long as you have everything vegetable wise, do that. And then you can flip your cutting board and use it for the meat if you'd like. I'm doing everything in bowls today, so I'm not really gonna be doing too much on the cutting board with meat, so it's fine. But right now, I'm smashing some garlic. I'm making a dipping sauce. For the dipping sauce, I like to put some garlic in here, a little bit of sesame seed, some scallions.
To the soy sauce.
To the soy sauce. It's soy sauce, some vinegar, and some sesame oil. It's really, really basic. Then you can add to it. You can add the garlic, the ginger. Scallions, I always love in the dipping sauce. If you want, there's something called Sambal Olek, which is a spicy chili garlic paste.
Yeah.
So if you have that, if you like spice, it's great. It's in your grocery aisle. It's usually right next to the sriracha, and it comes in something, it's got a rooster on it, kind of like it looks like the sriracha, only you can see the chili, the actual chilies in it. So that's really good if you like spice. So
So you're just saying, make it for your own taste.
Make it for your own taste. In all of these recipes, same thing. Make it for your own taste. I think a lot of people come in here and they're like, taste it. Is it good? And I'm like, do you like it? So if you like it, you're eating it. That's important. I mean, it's not, if you're cooking for a bunch of different people, then yeah, it is important that everybody like it. But when at home, don't worry about it. So exactly, make it for you. So what I'm doing right now, I'm using a zester, and I'm gonna zest the ginger in here. I am zesting a little bit of garlic. The garlic tends to fall apart when you zest it, so I'm gonna zest a little bit of it, and then I'll chop the rest.
Perfect.
If you have a garlic press, we call that cheating here, but you can definitely use a garlic press. So I'm getting this dipping sauce together first, because this is gonna go into, we're gonna just put it right into the ground pork. I'm gonna put it into the rangoons. Then I don't have to measure out a bunch of different things, because it's everything I want in my dumpling is in this dipping sauce for the most part. All right, so
utilitarian dipping sauce.
you know what? It's great, and then you don't have to dirty a bunch of bowls and plates. And all right, so now I'm zesting this ginger.
How much ginger are you adding?
Until
Until you feel it's
until
right.
I feel it's right. I like to do it until it's pretty fragrant. And the ginger, you can see it's getting stuck on this, so I just scoop it right off. All right. And for the dumplings, we want everything to be pretty fine, because if you have lumpy, then you won't be able to close the dumplings.
Okay.
So we're gonna get everything prepped, and then, oops, sorry. You wanna continue?
Yeah.
Sorry. So we're gonna get everything prepped. I do have a camera on here, so when I am making the dumplings, you guys can kind of see what we're doing. But we're gonna get everything prepped, and then we're gonna do the fun part, which is folding the dumplings, and then the more fun part, steaming and eating the dumplings. If you guys are just watching today, no big deal. If you aren't and you are all lined up in the kitchen, you can keep making dumplings throughout the entire demo. What I like to do is make a whole bunch, and then I freeze them. I don't cook them. I freeze them raw. Okay, and then whenever I want them, I take them out, and then I'll just either boil them to reheat and then saute, or steam them. Whatever your preference is. They are really good deep fried as well. After they've been frozen, that's a little tricky though, because there's water in the dough, and the oil tends to pop a little. So just be careful if you're frying.
Definitely do not boil them and then freeze them. But
yeah, so if you boil them and freeze them, they'll just turn into mush. So you want to freeze them raw.
Perfect.
Okay, or uncooked. Okay, and you are not cooking any of the filling today. It all is going to cook in your steamer. If you don't, we have these like fancy little steamers here. If you don't have a steamer, no big deal. If you have a colander, you can use that the same way you would steam a vegetable. So you just line the colander. If you have hand spray, that's great. And I'm going to go over this again, so don't feel like you need to memorize all this. Can you put some vinegar in here?
Sure.
A little dab will do you, actually, there, okay? So we're getting some vinegar in there, and then a little bit of that sesame oil. A little bit of sesame oil goes a very long way. All right, so just don't go crazy on the sesame oil. And another thing I like to do, I like to have spoons around, and I like to taste everything beforehand. All right, so we've got that done. I'm gonna start shredding my cabbage. I'm gonna do a vegetable dumpling, I'm gonna do a pork dumpling, and then for the rangoons, if you're doing the rangoons, I do shrimp because I think it's a total waste of really good crab
Agreed.
to deep fry and just mix it with cream cheese. Delicious. But so I like to do shrimp. I actually like the flavor of the shrimp dumplings better than I do like, and I don't think I've ever had a crab rangoon and actually like I've gotten crab in it. I think they just wave the crab over it, you know? So anyway, so I'm gonna shred this cabbage. I think I told you in the recipes, if you wanna use pre-shredded cabbage, totally fine. I have some here. I like the coleslaw mix with the cabbage and then I throw some red cabbage in there. It's got carrots in it, you know, whatever you like to eat, you know, vegetable anyway. I mean, you can make mushroom dumplings if you want, you know, like you can just do whatever you really want.
And you know, that's interesting, because now that you say mushroom dumplings, I used to live in Poland and they would have mushroom dumplings.
Yeah, and
It's interesting how every culture.
has their dumplings, like pierogies and, yeah, exactly. And then empanadas.
That's
You know?
true. I never thought of that. That's
Yeah,
very
it's
cool.
and we do an everything dumpling class here. This is stinky cabbage, let me tell you.
It's fragrant.
Oh, my goodness, potent. I'm just gonna put that under here for now. But we do an everything dumpling class, and we do like a southern chicken and dumpling.
Ooh.
And oh, another thing I like to do is have my trash can very close to me, so I can just scoop everything in. I'm gonna take a minute here. Does anybody have any questions? And if they do, can you relay them to Erica, and she can relay them to us?
And if you can't hear or anything like
Yeah,
that, let us know. We're not mic'd today.
Right, we're not mic'd, so it would be.
So I think we can hear well. The only question that came through were the amounts. So I copied the link to the recipes that you sent. So I think that at least gives a general idea, but to your point, I think it's a create your own adventure on this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Recipe is a suggestion.
exactly. We always say the recipe is a suggestion. Thank you for remembering that. That's great. So the dipping sauce real easy. It's like half and half. It's half soy sauce, half rice vinegar, or a third cup, whatever. And then a third cup scallions, and then a little bit of sesame oil. This says teaspoon. I would go tablespoon. And then sambal, if you have it, I would go tablespoon or maybe a couple because I like spice. So that's all we're doing there. I'm going to start chopping some scallions real quick, and then these are going to go in here. So I've got my,
sauce is complete.
and then the sauce is complete. It's super easy. I'll save these for something else. I can throw them in stock. And then I don't use the stems of these or the stems of these either, but I can throw them in a stock. I do that all the time.
Do you have stock classes here? For soup classes?
We do a butchering class.
Okay.
So butchering class, and then we use all of that to make stock. And we do a soups class as well. Usually that's more popular in the fall.
Good.
So we'll be doing more of that in the fall.
And then when people are here, how do you do the social distancing aspect?
Well, we have cut our numbers quite a bit. We used to do a ton of people in here, and actually it's way more enjoyable for me now because I get to spend more one-on-one time with people. But we do have everybody's that has been coming has pretty much been vaccinated. But I tell everybody to feel comfortable. We're very, very spread out here. This is a very big space. Our old space was tiny. We would have never been able to open back up. This place is very, very big.
And then you have dining tables, I see.
We
back
have
there.
separate dining tables, and you see how I have them all separated. So everybody kind of does their thing, but I have you all at separate stations with whoever you're with. And if
Excellent.
you're by yourself, you usually hang out with me a little bit. We
That's a
cook
pleasure.
together. Yes, it is always.
I get to hang out with the teacher.
Yeah,
Yay.
John's just so sweet. All right, so we're gonna mix this up a little bit. I'm just gonna use
You got it. Let's
You know what? I'm just gonna use
go for it.
So now at this point, I'm going to, so we've got these steamer baskets we were talking about.
Mhm.
Amazon, everything comes on Amazon. I mean, I would love to support a local place for kitchen items, but the one doesn't exist around here. They're all like Williams Sonoma, they're Sur La Table, so you might as well save some money and get it off Amazon, and it's convenient,
Yep.
very convenient. Obviously, that's why they're making so much money and launching space programs and all
Yes,
kinds of.
It is.
All right, so if you really get into dumplings, I would recommend getting a steamer basket. All you need is a frying pan. If you have a wok, great, you can put the baskets in a wok. and you just fill the water about an inch or so, a little bit over. You don't want the dumplings sitting in the water, but these are bleh. These have
They're deep.
They're deep. Thank you. These are deep, so the water doesn't hit them, and so that's
You
whatever.
were saying that if you don't have this, what do I do?
Colander. If you have a colander, or a steamer, the metal steamer
Yep.
baskets. My mom used to have one. I don't have
Absolutely.
one anymore, but I just use a colander. I have a that I strain my pasta with, and then I just kind of sit it above.
And then top it off with a lid or
And top it off
oil?
with a lid, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely you need a lid if you're using that. With the steamer baskets, you don't need a lid because it already has a lid.
There you go.
All right, so good. All right, so John was so insightful. He was remembering when he had the dumplings overseas that they layered the baskets with lettuce or cabbage, whatever that they have. So these things usually come with some parchment paper, and you use a lot of spray for them. So like pan spray, so you can use parchment and then pan spray for the steamer baskets. However, this works really well, and the dumplings don't stick to these.
Exactly, and you can't smell it, it's very, very fragrant right now.
Yeah.
It really is, so once again, it might impart some flavor.
A little bit, yeah. And this is, like I said, this is some iceberg lettuce that I had left over, but like I said, if you have romaine, anything leafy, really, you can use kale. I mean,
Banana leaves.
Banana leaves. Yeah, because I always have those
We
laying
cut
around.
extra banana leaves.
Yes, I always have extra banana leaves laying around. All right, so I'm just gonna line the steamer basket, and the dumplings are gonna go straight onto that. Then I don't have to use all this pan spray. I don't have to mess around with the parchment paper. Yes, it's better for the environment. All right. So now we're gonna start mixing.
Okay.
So we're just simply, since I already have, let's get some sesame seeds in here too. Since I have the dipping sauce already made. Oh, this isn't even open yet. Jeez,
Wow.
that never happens here. Gosh, no. So anyway, so since I have the dipping sauce made, we're gonna just add that to all the ingredients. So I'm gonna put a little bit into the pork till it's like nice and fragrant. It shouldn't get really dry. It shouldn't get too wet. If it is, you can add some cornstarch to the mixture, but you shouldn't have to. Let's do that. And you want it to be a little bit of liquid in there. You don't want it to be super, super dry because.
Finding a balance.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna put that into the pork. If you want to add cabbage to your pork mixture, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. If you're only doing vegetable dumplings today, that's great. I have shrimp here. You can do these dumplings with anything, ground turkey, ground pork. Like I said, we can make mushrooms. We can do, whatever you want to put in your dumplings. Ground chicken.
So ground chicken, ground turkey, once again, would you add any fat to it?
You need a little bit of fat so that they don't turn out as great. But if you're watching, your health, they're healthier, but they're not as flavorful because there's not a lot of fat in ground turkey and there's not a lot of fat in ground chicken. I always have like cuts of meat. So I can grind up chicken thighs. That's what I would do.
So use the.
I would do chicken thighs, or something like that, or like leg quarters or whatever I have.
Perfect.
But it's really your preference. They aren't, the turkey, I have done a bunch of the turkey ones. They're not as flavorful, so you have to add a little bit more salt, soy sauce to them, extra garlic. All right, so let's add this to
Okay. So let's do that just a bit.
I'm gonna grab a spoon real quick. while
Yes,
you're
thank
doing
you.
this. You all by yourself.
All by myself.
All by yourself.
Okay. Once again, do we have any questions at this point? This would be a great time to ask. Let's start with that.
So I'm gonna give you some gloves, so you don't have to wash your
Thank
hands
you.
a bunch of times.
That's one of my pet peeves. I hate the
Always,
smell.
I always have gloves available, because my brother-in-law is in the military, so he gets
He can get you.
Oh my God, he gets by the face. So anyway, I always have gloves around. And then you don't have to wash your hands a billion times. I have the 80-year-old hands because I wash my hands constantly being in the kitchen. So he's mixing up this ground pork. We're gonna do the same thing with the cabbage, just a little, not too much in the cabbage
All right.
because that will get very wet. I have if you haven't already, if you are cooking along, if you haven't already, get your pan set up with some water. Start on low heat. You don't want to boil it just now because all the water will evaporate out of it. So I'm glad you're here to fill in sentences because I can't use my
It's Sunday
words.
morning.
I can't use my words today. So anyway, so we're gonna get the water. My water's heating. I've got my lettuce in there. Any questions? No
Do we want to
questions?
show them before? Because I think I
Yeah.
got the right amount.
So I have this camera here, John, so if you
Oh,
want
perfect. Can I see?
yeah, so here.
Not
hopefully you guys can
soupy.
see. It's not soupy, and then, actually, I would probably add some more scallions, maybe a little bit more garlic, but
Mhm. For this,
it's fine, we're totally fine. All right, so I'm gonna do my Julia Child and put like some stuff under here and then. Okay, so another thing we're gonna talk about is wrappers. All right, so these are the egg roll wraps that I use, the soya. I like these. They're usually in the tofu section. They're not frozen. I like using the fresh ones rather than the frozen ones. If you can only get the frozen ones, no big deal. You can get the frozen ones and just thaw them out. Oh, sorry.
What happens if I'm really, really ambitious? How would I make a wrapper?
They're really easy. They're just a little bit of water, and I actually have a recipe on here if you guys really want to do it. They are a little bit softer and they take some time. You need to kind of have some patience with these, but you can make them yourself. It's flour, salt, and hot water. They're called hot water dough.
Perfect.
Crazy.
Put a child in it.
Amy, we have a question about pan frying the dumplings, which their family prefers. So will we go over that at all, or will it just be steamed?
No, I'll pan fry them afterwards. But I like to steam them first and then pan fry them, okay? Because then I want to make sure that pork is cooked. So we like to steam them first, and then we'll throw some oil, a little bit of sesame oil in with some vegetable oil, and then we'll pan fry them. But I like to boil them first to make sure everything in there is cooked, okay?
Trichinosis is not fun.
I don't think I've heard a reported case of that in a very long time. But anyway, so you can get egg roll wrappers, you can get wonton wrappers, gyoza wrappers. They're all the same thing pretty much. They're just different sizes. I got these egg roll wrappers and I'm gonna cut these down into a couple different shapes. So I don't know if you have round wrappers today. I don't know if you have square wrappers today. I'm gonna cut down a couple of these into squares, and I'm gonna cut a couple into circles, and then I'm gonna also use these wrappers for the rangoons. So hopefully you guys can see that. If you have a cookie cutter and you're using egg roll wrappers, it's great. Right, so I'm gonna do a couple of these. And then I'm gonna show you guys how to do mini egg rolls after this. So I'm gonna save this dough. I know, it's so many treats. All right, so I've got this. And then I've got some squares. I'm gonna cut some squares. And like I said, the leftover, I'm just gonna see. And you can buy these pre-cut. You don't have to do this. I wanted to do squares and circles so you guys could see.
But what a great job if you have a young son or daughter.
Exactly, they love cutting cookies,
Exactly.
so why not?
To be mommy's helper.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I've got the squares and the circles here, and I'm just gonna clean this up. Okay, again, any questions at this point?
I love the way that you clean as you go along.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's very helpful that if you clean as you go along. Even if you have, I think Rachel Ray coined the term, the trash bowl. I do that at home. I have all those plastic bags from the grocery stores. I'll line a bowl with a plastic bag, and then throw in my trash bowl. Yeah, or if I'm handed in the trash bag. So we're good here.
Okay,
All
so
right.
now we have our wrappers.
We have our wrappers. So guys, we are going to, how are we time-wise? What's
We
going on
are
time-wise?
at almost noon, it's 11:54.
Oh, okay, so we got plenty of time.
Should we leave the wrappers out, or should we, we only have 4 or 8 or something like that, but if you had a number, would you wrap them up so that they don't dry out? What
I'm
would you
so
do?
glad you're here.
I
because
know.
I probably would have forgotten to tell you. Yeah, so you do want to keep these wrapped. I usually just stick them back in the wrapper. But what you want to do is either dampen a cloth, not
Not wet.
damp cloth, put them over. And I do this whenever I'm making pasta, anything that'll dry out. So just a wet cloth or a damp cloth over, and then just keep them under until you're ready to use them. We're doing so little, and these are very fresh. The frozen ones tend to dry out faster than the fresh ones. Okay, just because they get really dry. All right, so I'm gonna put this over here. All right, so guys, I think hopefully I see some people. Hopefully we're ready to start rolling some dumplings. Is everybody kind of there? You can give me a thumbs up.
Hey, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Hey, Amy.
Hey.
I am having trouble cutting circles into my wrappers. Do you have any alternatives to cookie cutters to
what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do you have any alternatives to cookie cutters for cutting circles?
Yes, I do. So get a paring knife. All right, and then
I would say an empty soup can, but that's me.
oh, soup can or a glass, like a pint glass, and then just cut around. So get like a pint glass. I wish I had something that, John's gonna get something similar.
Yes.
So get a pint glass or something like that. And then you're just going to kind of cut around, and they're not gonna be perfect circles. Don't worry about it, all right? So basically what you would do, say this is my glass,
Yes.
okay? Then you would just, here, I'll do one for you. Don't worry about it, John, I got you.
Tiny ramekin.
Okay, well, there we go, a tiny ramekin.
Tiny ramekin, once again,
Excellent. All right.
because everyone has tiny ramekins.
Oh, yeah, everybody does. All right, so I'm gonna do this real quick for you. So this is a ramekin. If you have a pint glass works, doesn't matter. So you're just gonna take your paring knife or a small knife, doesn't have to be a paring knife. It's easier with a smaller knife than a bigger knife. And then you're just gonna cut that out. Is that a perfect circle? No, but it's pretty close.
Good enough.
Okay, so I'll do that again. Oh, you know what? That's pretty. And you know, don't worry about it if it's not perfect, because this one's definitely not, because I ran out of material. So I've got this interesting thing. All right.
But you know what? It all goes down the same way.
It really does.
Really
And it
does.
all tastes good, so it's all good. All right. So any more questions? That was a good one. Is everybody, hopefully everybody's having something.
It helps.
It's more fun cooking with a little bit of lubricant.
And a friend.
A little early.
Yeah. Nah. All right.
We're on the East Coast. It's not.
Yeah, it's East Coast. All right. So next we're going to start rolling our, making our dumplings, okay? All right.
Okay.
So
What do you want to do first? Do you want to do the pork or the?
I'm gonna do the vegetable first, so I don't have to leave and go wash my hands, and then I'll put gloves on.
Perfect.
So these are gonna just do bare. All right, so.
And once again, this is very, very dry. Not exactly you would think you would want this wet thing. It has some flavor, it has texture, but it's not just soupy.
Well, because cabbage is going to release a lot of water once we steam it, so you don't want this to waste. And you know, like I said, you can put anything in here. If you want to put more garlic in here, that carrots. So, yeah. So I'm gonna do one veggie and then the rest I'm gonna do pork. All right, so I'm gonna do one of each. We're gonna do square and we're going to, so what you need now is a little bowl of water. And you can empty this as many times as you need, refill it, you know, if it gets really nasty, just get some new water.
One of the things I learned while in China was that when you do this, you want to have your plates on one side and then smooth, this makes sense, smooth side and then pleated side. Does that make sense as you fold? Yeah.
Like I said, it's Sunday.
I
Yeah,
know.
I think I know what you're talking about. All right, so you don't want to get a ton of, you're not going to use a bunch of filler in here because they won't close. So you want to kind of put this in your hand. And then we're gonna fold over, and then you're going to, I'm sorry, I didn't show you that.
Oops.
Sorry.
So you
want
moistened.
you moisten the edge like a little half moon. And the veggie dumplings are a lot messier to make because of the little pieces.
Now you're Pressing everything.
I'm pressing everything, I'm squeezing here, okay?
Uh-huh.
All right, and then you can keep them like this, or,
That's what I was talking about.
oh, okay,
That.
yeah. So then, and then you can make them fancy, pleated, and then I like to kind of press them so they come out like that.
That's good.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more for you, the round kind. And then I'm gonna show you the pork. The ground meat ones are a lot easier to do this because you know, it's nice and round.
Yeah.
These are a little bit trickier, a little bit chunkier. So I'm gonna do one more round.
I was at one class where she'd been doing it for years, 36 pleats. I know, it's so tiny and it's like, I have no patience for that.
Plus, the kids are good at those
Kids are very.
because they've got those teeny
Tiny
little
fingers.
hands. Hands. All right. So again, pleats. 36 times. That
Can you imagine?
that also has to be a bigger dumpling, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we've got two of
Do we
these.
have a question? Is there any way you can get a closer up view of the folding?
Sure. Here, let me
I don't know.
bring the camera down a little.
So that'll bend.
Uh-huh. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, now we can do something closer,
Okay,
okay?
all right, I'm gonna do the pork ones. All right, so hopefully you guys can see.
I can see,
Can
I
you?
can see, yeah, go in.
Oh, you can see?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is good?
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm gonna do some pork. You're gonna make a teeny tiny little meatball,
A little meatball.
a meatball. Porkatini.
That's a different class.
That's it, definitely. So we're gonna put a little bit, and then again, half moon with the water, and then I'm gonna fold, and then I'm gonna pinch to seal, and then I like to flatten this out a little bit and spread out the meat a little bit. So.
Fold, pinch, seal, flatten. Right?
All right, so you can leave them like this, or now what you wanna do is you're gonna take both of your fingers and thumbs, and then you're going to fold and then pinch. And then we're gonna fold and we're gonna pinch.
Hmm.
And guys, this takes a little bit of practice. Not everybody's great at this the first time they do it. And cooking takes practice. All right,
One more time?
one more time.
How was that? Could everyone see?
Yes, I think it was nice. Thank you.
Perfect.
You're welcome. All right, again.
Here's
Little
a little
meatball.
meatball.
So another thing you can do, if you're worried about how these are gonna taste, you can fry, you know, right now we could fry a little piece of pork and take, and of course, till it's done, a little tiny portion, and then taste it to make sure you've got the right seasoning in it, if you wanna do that.
Exactly. What I noticed though, you moistened only half of the wrapper.
You don't need to moisten the whole, these are really, really thin, and they're delicate. Again, so we're gonna take, and you guys will get a hang of how much filling you can put in there. I could probably stuff these a little bit more, but for the sake of demo, I just want you guys to be able to see this. So these are the rounds, okay? Now I'm gonna do a square. The square I like to do like tortellini, because I studied in Italy, so of course. All right, so what I'm going to do, same thing, corner pointing towards your heart, and then corner pointing toward, I'm sorry, little. It is Sunday.
It is.
It's like my
Okay, so you have a corner pointing towards your heart. So you have a
Heart.
diamond in your hand.
heart. Right, so you have a diamond in your hand, and then again, we're going to put meat, and then like I said, you want to clean this water. If it's creeping you out, it's totally fine.
I'm gonna clean that while you fold. Okay, you're good?
Yes,
Okay,
you better
because
hurry.
it's creeping me out.
Is it? Well, okay, so now what we're gonna do, same thing, we're gonna fold, but this time, we're just gonna make a triangle. Okay, and then again, I like to kind of spread the filling out a little bit and pinch and seal, okay? And at this point, this one's a little bit more difficult. All right, then you just fold this. Oh, I need more water.
There you go. Perfect timing.
And then this is gonna seal like this. They're like little poke hats. And then this one broke a little bit, no big deal. I'm gonna do a couple more of these.
Mhm.
Diamond. And like I
I
said,
love watching the screen because everybody's so focused right now.
So again, if you guys are making these, you can make these all day long. It doesn't matter to me. Obviously, we're gonna stop at some point because we do have another demo later. So anyway, so again, and like I said, if you wanna make a bunch, you could freeze some. Again, we're gonna fold, pinch, and seal. Okay? And then I like to just push my finger in, my little tortellini. If you wanna leave them as squares, you can leave them as squares, no big deal. All right, so I'm gonna do a couple more just so you guys can see.
How's everyone doing right now? Everyone's so focused and so quiet.
Good. This is good practice. It's fun to try. Figure out how much filling to put in and all of. When you wet it, do you just wet one like edge of that corner and then just with your fingers?
Yep, I just did the one half.
Do you have to wet it when you make that tortellini shape too to make it stick together, or do you just?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like this one did it okay because I had enough water on there. The first one I didn't, so I used some extra water on there. So another thing, if you guys have a bunch of filling left over, you can freeze that as well. You don't have to cook it. You can freeze it, put it in a baggie, date it.
They're tiny.
I
Like-
can date everything.
Like, does this batch make like 100 of these or something? I think I'll be doing, I got the Wonton Wrappers.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be there all day.
I mean, they're like little cappelletti, you know?
They are, they're tiny, they're small. That's why I said I got a pound. I'm obviously not gonna go through all this. So you can, if you don't wanna make dumplings all day long, you could make a bunch of dumplings, freeze some if you like before cooking them, or get your mixture, put it in a bag, like a Ziploc bag, freezer bag, and then you can freeze it, date it, and then take it out, thaw it, and make more if you want. You don't have to cook this first. Okay?
Last time I made them, they were hard as rocks. How do you make them moister?
With love. Once again, what is the percentage of fat to your meat? That's always my go-to.
Yeah, that's true. So you usually do like 80-20, 20%
Okay.
fat, 80% meat.
Thank you for
Yeah, I guess I had to clarify that. So
Natalie has her hand raised. Natalie, do you have something to ask?
I was just going to say to move the camera because it's off center and sometimes it's caught in your hand.
Fix the
The
camera.
phone one, the phone camera.
So yeah, sometimes it cuts off.
There you go.
Perfection.
How's that? Is that
Much
good?
better,
Thank you.
much better.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
all right, then I'll continue to make these. Any other questions? Oops. Not so far.
It's interesting. Where were we a year ago without COVID and cooking online?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, these have been a little bit challenging.
But we've learned so much,
We've learned so much.
except for camera angles, but we're getting better.
Well, that one's a tough one. Well, I like it. I have a group that comes in here and they bring their own recording, people that record it for us, which is awesome. They have all the camera set up and I don't have to do anything. It's amazing. All right, I'm gonna make one more of these and then I'm gonna start steaming. Okay, and then I'm gonna jump on the Rangoon soon, but I'm going to take a little break. I'm gonna recap everything that we've done. And then we'll start on the Rangoons. I'll answer any questions at that time. All right, so guys, I am,
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
okay, so you guys probably, hopefully this won't steam up too much. So what I like to do usually is I will separate the vegetables from the meat, just so I know which is which. Well, you can tell today because the veggies are in the round and the meat are in the square. So I usually separate these into two different trays. However, since this is a demo, I'm not really worried about it. So this is, you can stack these a little bit closer. You don't want to get them really close because they will stick, okay? So another thing, okay, so I put my lid on top of there. You guys can hopefully, see this? Do you know? All right. And this thing has two. Thanks, John. This is another reason it really helps to have a co-host when doing these.
Natalie, how's our angle?
We're
It
on
looks-
meat.
Looks great.
All
Okay.
right, so we're on meat. Okay, guys, so recap. At this point, you guys should probably be on to rolling or stuffing your dumplings. But if you're not, no big deal. What we did first was the dipping sauce. We put a bunch of different ginger, garlic, scallions, optional heat, whatever heat you want. You can put Tabasco in there for all I care, you know? Doesn't matter,
What do I
right?
have in the
Because it's
closet?
exactly. Soy sauce, rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, white vinegar works well. You can use apple cider vinegar. It's not that much of a deal. Red wine vinegar, it's fine. Just balsamic would not be good because balsamic has a very, very heavy flavor. So, but you know, we like to improvise in the kitchen. If I don't have something, if I didn't have scallions, I probably would have grated a shallot if I had a shallot, or I would have grated an onion,
Absolutely.
you know, as long as it's nice and fine. So we've got our dipping sauce made. We made our filling with just, I did a veggie and I did a pork. The veggie, we just put a little bit of this dipping sauce in to add some flavor. Did the same thing with the pork. I think the pork dumpling recipe has more on it. Like you can put the cabbage in it, ginger, scallions, garlic, soy sauce, sesame oil, but that's all in here. So
It's up to you.
It's up to you, but it's so much easier just to pour that into the pork. We cut out circles because I had egg roll wrappers. I didn't get wonton and I didn't get gyoza or dumpling wrappers. They're called gyoza sometimes they're called dumpling, wonton. The only difference between wonton and gyoza are shape. There's no difference in the dough. Same thing with the egg roll wrappers. The egg roll wrappers, same, they're just larger. So it's not a different dough. It's all just a little bit of flour and water for the most part. Yeah. And
Can the
they're
refrigerated wrappers be frozen and used later?
yeah, you can do that. So what happens when they're frozen is I usually end up taking like a little bit of the two, like the top 2 or 3 off because they get really dry. The ones in the middle stay decent, but the ones on either ends, sometimes they'll crackle and they'll get a little dry. So I just take them, throw them away, but no big deal. Rather than throwing an entire wrapper away, a whole thing of wrappers, you can freeze them. And we have a vacuum sealer here. If anybody's a vacuum sealer at home, I gotta tell you, it's great. It's great for freezing things. So
How long are you going to steam them?
so I like to be on the safe side, about 10 to 12 minutes for the pork. For the cabbage, veggie, probably about 7 to 8 minutes, but you'll be able to see how they're already getting translucent. I'm gonna show you guys. This is really hot. Don't do this at home. These are getting translucent. Also, if you're steaming in a basket, please make sure you have water by your side. I have water. Where did I put the water? Oh, it's down here. I have water near me because if you're not paying attention, the water will evaporate and you'll burn the bottom of these pans. I have done that before because I wasn't paying attention to it. So you want to make sure, I always just do like get a pint glass or something like that. I've got these pictures just to make sure every once in a while, you don't want it, you don't want a ton of water in there. You want enough to steam, but just make sure you have water in there that's steaming.
So I have a question. So I've seen these no, it's a good question. I've seen these baskets 2, 3, 4 on top of one another. Will the bottoms finish before the top, or will everything finish at the same time?
So yes, I like to switch them out.
So rotate.
I rotate, but if you are using steamer baskets, steam is dangerous. It hurts. It's like frying, same thing. Heated anything, just be very, very careful. I get my oven mitts, well, I just didn't right then because I'm used to this, but I'll get 2 oven mitts and then I will switch out the trays. So I'll put the top one on the bottom one on the top, you know, depending on how many trays you have. So I'll just switch them out and put them back on.
Like rotating.
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I have to do that in the oven all the time. I've got to turn them because the back cooks faster than the front. It's just that thing.
Okay, what's next? Because we are at 12:15.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Okay, good.
All right. So any questions? We are going to, would love any questions. Another thing I did want to tell you guys, if you want to take pictures of your end results and send them to us at Schola, I would love to do that. We get them on our Instagram, we put them on our Facebook, okay? And I think you probably have our email address. If you don't, I will definitely give that to you by the end of class, all right? So does anybody have any questions? It doesn't have to be related to dumplings. It can be kind of any question.
So.
There's not you.
Oh, I do have a question. Somebody asked, can you review how to steam without having the basket?
Sure. So what I would do is, there should be a colander somewhere. John's gonna go look for the colander. So what I would do is just in a simple kind of pan, put maybe a colander in. There should be a white one around.
There should be.
Anyway, so you put water in a pan, and then what you would do is put a colander in here.
We're gonna pretend it's the colander. Can we pretend?
Well, let's pretend that's a colander.
This is.
Okay, that'll work. Okay, all right. Let's just say this is a colander, which it is not. So what we would do is we put our water in here. And then I get something a little bit taller. But anyway, you put the colander. I like to raise it a little bit unless your colander. So something like this. And then I just a lid. Just grab a lid over there. And then you put your dumplings in here. You'd steam it with a lid.
Here's the lid that I can find.
Here, let's do this.
Perfect.
That's not gonna.
It's gonna work.
Anyway, so then you just.
They
put
know
a
what
lid
they
on
mean.
that.
You get the idea, right?
Okay, that was a little goofy, but basically you're going to stick your colander in here, put your dumplings in, put a lid on, and then steam like that. I have a foldable, a collapsible colander. It's silicone, so mine works really well. So it folds up and then it goes right into the water, and the water doesn't really hit the bottom of it. So that's all you're going to do. You're going to cover this with with a lid, and then just steam it over.
Does that make sense?
Hopefully it does. I know it's a little difficult to demo that. If you were here, it'd be a lot easier. I could tell you. That's another challenge of virtuals. It's a little hard to translate every once in a while. So, all right. So how long have we had on these dumplings?
About 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave these guys in. Another way to tell if your dumplings are done, simply just open one up, break it open. If it looks like it's done, if you're like, this has been 7 to 8 minutes, but they look like they're done, just crack one open. It's not a big deal. Cut it in half. Whenever you're testing anything in the kitchen, don't be scared. Just cut it in half. It's okay. You're not cooking for like 15 minutes, whatever.
Exactly. You've made 100. You have now 99.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a big
So we have a few questions, a couple around what the filling could be in a dumpling. So somebody asked, have you tried tofu inside?
I'm not a big tofu fan, so no, but yes, you could definitely do it. But what you would do is you would kind of meal it up like you would a ground meat. So you want to meal that up with some cabbage probably, because the wrappers are vegan. If you are vegan, the wrappers are vegan. So with a little bit of cabbage, definitely soy sauce. If you're gluten-free, they make gluten-free soy sauce. Really easy to find. Yeah, it's usually in your soy sauce aisle with all the Asia, the sushi and the wasabi and everything. And then just add some of your flavoring to the tofu and it would work perfectly. And the tofu is already done. So you just have to steam those until the dumplings, the wrappers actually cook. So yeah, you can definitely do it with tofu. You can substitute almost anything in here. Like I was saying, we could do it with mushrooms if you want. You can make these ravioli if you want. If you don't feel like making pasta, you can make wonton ravioli. They're a little bit more delicate than ravioli, but you can do it that way. So it's something that, like, if you wanted to put like chicken and goat cheese, you could do that. You could do something like that. Anything with goat cheese sounds really good to me. Yes, exactly. All right. So, any other questions?
Well, this is a little bit off the dumpling mark, but somebody is really admiring your pots and pans and would love to see how you hang them so they're so easy to grab and see.
Well, so this is an industrial rack. And I can, when we're almost finished, I will get the phone and kind of show you. But this is bolted into, this is a fireplace behind us. So this is bolted into brick. And you have to have someone that knows what they're doing. My business partner did this. He's very handy, thank God, because I'm not. So this is something we got online. I think we got it at a place called the Restaurant Store. And then there's a top rack, so you can put pots on top, and then there's a band here with hooks, and then you can hang the pots here. If you have like the hooks move, exactly. You can take these off, you can move them, really easy. And this works really well for us because we don't have time to open drawers. Everything here is out in the open. We have a whole wall of tools over there. We've got our peelers, we've got our pizza peels, we've got our zesters, our spoons, everything is on that wall. If you have an industrial kitchen and you want to do it, I can go for it. I have a very small kitchen and I couldn't do it at all. We both live in the city and it's like, there's no room for anything. But if you have a big kitchen, I say go for it. Anything else?
Yes, before moving on, question, would you still line the a colander if you're not using the basket? Would you still line the colander with the leaves of some sort? The castor leaves?
I definitely would. It looks pretty. But other than that, I would do it just because it helps them not stick. You're not really going to stick to metal too much, but still I use pan spray no matter what, because they're very delicate and they do get a little sticky. With the lettuce works really well with that if you don't feel like using pan spray. So yes, I would. It is actually. So I definitely would, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Again, improvise. Use pan spray. So, are you
Okay, are we ready?
Yes. So we're gonna move on to Rangoons. Same wrapper. I like to do these. Let's see. I'm gonna clean up a little bit. So the Rangoons are the same wrapper. They're the egg roll wrapper. You can do them in wonton wrappers. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that's different is we're deep frying these. If you guys do not want to deep fry in your house, I completely understand. It kind of smells up the whole house. We have industrial fryers here, so it's easy for us to do. So we're going to actually deep fry in the fryers. If you don't want to deep fry in your house, you can bake these. If you want to bake them. Remember last time we did this class, someone asked about the air fryer?
Yes.
And they said that they didn't really work in the air fryer, which surprised me because it's basically a convection oven. So I don't know if you can, I don't have an air fryer, so I've never air fried. If you want to try an air fryer, go for it. I'm not sure how they're going to turn out.
But if you master it, email us.
Yes, if you master it, let us know. If you don't want to fry, you can pan fry. Just pan fry in a little bit of oil. No big deal. You can do that. Like I said, frying can be dirty. It's also can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So grease is there and hot. So be very careful. All right. Okay.
So what are we doing?
So now I'm going to do the Rangoons. Rangoon can be any filling you want. Again, I don't like using the crab meat. I just don't. So I'm going to do shrimp. Really, really simple, basic, just cream cheese, some ground, whatever you want to put in there. I'm going to do shrimp. I'm going to do this in my food processor. One of my favorite tools in this kitchen is my food processor. It saves me so much time. If I don't feel like chopping a bunch of stuff, I just throw it in the food processor. So much easier. Yes, pulse, and it's done. So I'm going to do this in a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, not a big deal. You're just going to have to chop a little bit if you're doing the shrimp. If you're doing crab, you don't need to really chop it all. What I would do if you guys are doing the Rangoons, you want to get your cream cheese room temperature. You want to have that nice and soft. The easiest way to do that is to throw it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. It is.
I love it.
It's super easy. I do it with, it's a cheat, and I do it with butter too. So
So we have a chunk of cream cheese.
So I'm going to go ahead, I'm gonna get some shrimp in here. These
You're
are,
taking the tail off, they've been
these are peeled today.
Love it.
Taking the tail up. I'm not gonna do all of these. All right, see? Sure. All right, can you guys see the actual food processing? Yeah, okay. All right, so now we're gonna do, I'm going to, no,
Okay.
no.
No.
All right, so I'm gonna do a little bit of the cream cheese in here. John will not eat these now that I've got my hands all over them. Well, they're going in a deep fryer, so I'm not really worried about it. All right, again, so I've got another thing that I love in the kitchen towels. And if you're like me, everybody brings them to you every time they come to your house. I think my mom's given me at least 1,000 over the years.
Best gift ever.
Best gift ever.
Okay, some of the utilitarian sauce.
Exactly. So we're gonna throw some of that sauce in there, not a ton, but enough to flavor it. This is gonna probably sound goofy, but I like to smell things. I can tell if it needs more garlic or salt. You know, I can usually tell that by smelling it. I've got a sensitive sniffer. All right. And then let's just pulse that until it all comes together. So we're just pulsing this, which means I'm not turning it on. If I turn it on, it's really gonna pulverize it. So we're pulsing it. The shrimp's turning into little chunks. Almost there. It's blowing up. Water.
Okay.
All right, so good. So wonderful. John, can you do me a favor and get me a spatula, which is hanging on our wall?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's the, okay. No, the rubber. Yes, rubber spatula. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of these again, right down here. And the luxury of working in this kitchen, which I love, is the fact that I have a dishwasher that cleans dishes. So when I do virtuals at home, I have to clean all the dishes up.
Take a little.
I'm gonna go little.
Okay.
All right. So that looks great.
Again, it's not mush.
No, you don't want it really runny. And if you do get the filling and it's too wet, some cornstarch will thicken that right up. All right. Any questions so far?
What exactly do you have in there? Cream cheese and crab? Is that all?
I'm using shrimp because I don't really like the crab. I like crab, I just don't like it in a rangoon.
But no flavors.
Yes, we put the dipping sauce. We again use the dipping sauce that we did in all the other sauces, or in all the other fillings.
The soy sauce, the ginger, the garlic, the scallion.
Yeah, so it's all, everything that you would normally add is in that dipping sauce for the most part, unless you want something extra. You can throw in extra garlic, you can throw in extra ginger. It just depends on your flavor, like what you like. I like a little bit of that dipping sauce with the cream cheese and the shrimp. I think it's great. It's delicious. And anything deep fried is usually pretty delicious. So these guys are a little bit, they are not perfectly square. So I'm going to cut this end off. And then I'm going to, I'm going to make a triangle. The crab rangoons are usually bigger. They don't have to be, okay? You can use those wonton wrappers. You could use one of these dumpling wrappers. Not a big deal. So.
Just a pinch.
Again, yeah. You don't want to crazy overfill it because they won't seal. If you were gonna bake these, I would recommend putting an egg wash on. Egg wash is like a teaspoon of water and one egg whisked together, and then you just brush it. Why don't we do that anyway? Would you grab me an egg out of the refrigerator? I will just need a fork.
Okay.
And then I've got a pastry brush down here, I think, somewhere. It's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's over there. All right. So what I'm going to do, if you guys hopefully can see this, again, I have my water. I'm going to actually go all sides of this one since it's triangular. And then fold. And then you kind of move the filling. Kind of. Did you find them?
Yeah.
They're in a white carton. All right, so these are ones, these actually take a little bit of practice. You gotta figure out where the filling's supposed to go. So they may, you know, if it doesn't turn out okay, don't worry about it. Just open it back up and you use a new wrapper. There's no shame in that.
Work.
All right. Same thing. So you guys gotta figure out where that filling goes. And then we're gonna wet.
Do you have a bowl? You need a bowl.
I'm just gonna use that ramp.
Okay, and you need some clean water?
According to John, I need some clean water. All right, so we got that. Now what I'm going to do, I've got these cute little guys. And you can do these in any shape. Don't feel like you need to, you can do this in the round wrappers if you want. Same thing, you don't have to do the pincher. So now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna throw a little bit of water in here, and then there's a pastry brush right there. Perfect. All right, a little bit of water. I'm just gonna whisk this really quickly. And egg wash will help things to brown when they're baking. So if you're doing any kind of pastry, apple dumplings, you know, whatever it is, pastry, or even like empanadas, if you're doing an empanada, I will brush these with an egg wash, and that helps that dough get nice and brown without overcooking it. Sometimes if you wait for the dough to brown, it's already burnt. So this helps the process of browning along. So now what you would do, and I've got a silicone one of these at home, which I really like. I use it for the grill. It's high heat, but you can get these, even if you have like a paintbrush, you could use a paintbrush. Just be careful because the bristles will, you don't want to eat a bristle.
Yeah, but I won't put some more in it.
I just put some more in it to that.
Oh,
How about their boxes?
4 boxes.
All right, guys, so I've got my rangoons. I have done some egg wash on here, and now what we're
A
gonna
box, then you're at, thinking you're mixing in and stuff.
Oh,
do. And, okay, so what I'm gonna, John, I'm actually gonna follow you with my camera,
Wonderful.
and we're gonna show you how we're going to deep fry these. I have since turned my dumplings off because they're done. So, you know, if you are following around along, just remember to check your dumplings, make sure, like I said, if you don't know if they're done or not, there's no shame in just cutting one open. We want to make sure that pork is cooked, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my camera, so your big view of us will change for a minute. We're gonna walk over to the deep fryer, but I'm gonna take my camera. And hopefully you won't get a shot of my big fat face. Let's see.
Good?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the reverse thing.
Gotcha.
That's not working. Oh, that's fine. All right, so hopefully,
So let's talk about temperature. What temperature?
this is 3. Can you guys see the fryer?
If you can move it just a little bit, there we go, perfect. Just like that.
All right, so John, be very, very careful. I want you to do this with, yes. So we're gonna put this into the spider and see how he's gently laying that in there, okay? I don't have a problem with you doing it with your hand, but I want everybody at home to know this is a safer way to do it. Don't drop anything from high into oil, it'll splatter. I know this is probably seems very elementary and like, but people don't think about it. And I get people in here that'll splatter things in there and they get burnt. So I don't want you guys to ever get burnt with oil. So once they go in, let's just let them sit for a minute. And then they'll get brown relatively quickly. And then we're just gonna flip them. So the temperature on these fryers is 370. So at home, you want anywhere from 355 to 375 probably.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, so these guys can be tricky. Sometimes they don't want to turn. There you go. Whew.
Not quite.
Sometimes I should get you tongs. Sometimes it's easier to do this.
Not for sure.
Yes.
Not for sure. Okay, there
really quickly. So I just leave them in for another minute, and then I'm gonna get this hooked back up, and then we'll drain them. All right, so guys, I'm gonna go back here. Sorry, I hope I'm not making everybody dizzy. Okay. Okay, and we're back. All right, are we all good view-wise?
I think so. Looks good.
Okay, so so for the Rangoons, you can do your own choice of dipping sauce. I like the orange duck sauce with the Crab Rangoons. It's got a nice flavor to it. Duck sauce is really just a mixture of usually apricot or orange marmalade together, just pulsed in it. You can do it in a food processor. There's not much to it. It's just a little bit sweet. They thin it out a little bit. Sometimes if you get it in a store, it usually has a little bit of corn syrup in it. But if you want to dump a jar of apricot and orange marmalade together and process it, it's basically the same exact thing. So that's what I like with the Rangoons. With everything else, I like the dipping sauce that we made. How are they?
Amy, can you go over the instructions for baking the Rangoon?
Yeah, just so in your oven, probably about 375. Just put them on a baking sheet, a sprayed baking sheet. Ooh, look how good they look. Sprayed baking sheet with pan or Crisco or whatever you have. Bake them in the oven until they're golden brown. You do need the egg wash on those if you're going to bake them, because then that's the only thing that kind of makes them that color. All right. So really, I would say probably no more than 10 minutes. Just check them, but it depends on everybody's oven's different. My oven at 375 doesn't cook anything. I have to bump mine up to like 420 to get anything out of mine.
Incinerate.
Exactly. Yeah. So my ovens, I need a new one. So every time I do a virtual at home, I'm like, I need a new one. All right. So we got our Rangoons here. All right. So next. So we've got our dumplings here. All right. So I'm going to go over pan frying these now. Okay. Because I think someone wants to pan fry this. Like I said, I like to steam these first because I want to make sure that it's cooked. Okay. So I am just going to dump out the water that I have in this pan because, like I said, I don't like dirtying a bunch of dishes, no matter who's doing the dishes. And then I'm going to throw this right in here.
Okay.
Okay.
That's smart.
Hot. Yeah, that's hot. So be careful. It's hot.
This.
Yes. And actually, you know what? This isn't a nonstick. I'm making a nonstick to do this. It's just easier, and I don't have to worry about it. Where did we do our college demo? That's all good.
Yeah. Here.
Thank you. My lovely assistant, John. What would I do without her? All right, so I'm gonna grab the nonstick.
Oh, here's the comment.
Excellent.
There we go.
All right, so I've got my nonstick here. Okay, just make your life easy. Just use a nonstick. I don't use nonsticks usually at home, but for something like this, I do when I don't want to have to worry about things sticking. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of sesame oil in here, and then I'm also going to put some veggie oil in there. Can you grab some of that oil? Sure. So just a little bit for flavor, not a ton. Sesame oil will burn pretty quickly. All right, so I'm going to turn this on. All right, then I'm going to heat this up. Any questions?
You're all being so quiet. You're working so hard.
I know. All right, so let's.
Want me to turn that?
Yeah, if you mind.
Nope. Not at all.
I owe you.
How's that?
I'm going to have to take you to dinner again if I'm
Exactly.
All right, so now you can see this. So I just put a little bit of sesame oil in here, a little bit of vegetable oil. How are we on time, John?
We are at
Wow, we are
12:39.
great. Hopefully all of you are doing well. Like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. And at the end, we'll go over questions again. And those look good.
They do. They do. Did you talk about duck sauce?
I did.
Okay, so I missed that while I was.
I'm
over there.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Duck
So I'm
sauce is
gonna go ahead and throw these. I use my fingers a lot because I know who's eating these. Me. And John.
And John. So the oil's very hot.
The oil's hot, it's popping.
Yeah.
It's popping a little bit. I have this on medium heat. These are induction burners we use here. All right, so I'm gonna turn this down just a little. If you want to be able to, these to wiggle a little in the pan. Okay. See, that one's already like sticking a little bit. You want enough oil in there that you can wiggle, and you can smell that oil.
It's very fragrant.
Very, very fragrant. Great for you.
A little goes real
A
far.
long way. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the heat down on these because they're starting to stick a little bit. If they're starting to stick a little bit, just add a little bit of oil.
And you're gonna do both sides?
I am.
You are, excellent.
And then once we get all this done, I'll plate these. So, anything new?
No, other than you.
Oh, so I have another virtual after this for University of Maryland, and John's helping me with that one as well.
It's a good
So
team.
it is. It's more fun to have a couple people here because if not, I'm just kind of dead silent, like staring at a computer. Yeah, it is. As you know from doing a bunch of virtuals.
I
yourself.
do.
Yeah.
This is my life. What other classes are coming up?
Well,
I know you have some in person.
let's see. Well, I am actually leaving to go to Florida this
So
evening.
then you get to work with Jerry.
No, he's not here
Is
either.
that- Okay.
All right, so these are pan frying. What do we have coming up? Well, we do have a Mother's Day is coming up if anybody's interested in that. We do have a Margaritaville happy hour. We have a cooking with beer class. I had Greek last night.
Italian happy hours.
Italian happy hour is coming
Sorry
up.
about that one.
Yeah, we do a bunch of different classes. Just go to our website at scholacooks.com. All right. All right.
All right.
So I'm just gonna keep these on low. Like I said, they have a tendency to stick, so make sure you have enough oil in there. And my little meatballs have spurged out of one or two of these. All right. All right, so that's good there. So at this point, we would like to take any questions. We're kind of doing the wrap up. I'll go over everything again. We'll take some questions and then I'm gonna plate everybody.
Or when you finish your product, show us.
Yeah, so definitely if you want to email us, that would be great. I would love that.
You like the info@scholacooks.com? Is that the email that you want us to put in here in the chat?
All of them work. It's good. Yeah, info is good. Amy, info, whatever.
Perfect, perfect.
So you said you could bake the ragoon at like, what was it, 4?
375.
So what, I only have like 350 or 450. So
You only have two temperatures on your oven.
I love that.
yeah,
I
I just got my stove.
I would go 450 probably.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
And then would you turn them halfway through or how do you?
Yeah, you can turn them halfway through.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna. These are falling apart. It is what it is. All right. So I'm going to get a clean plate
Okay.
and then I'm going to get.
They're good.
Yeah, they taste good. Even if they're not pretty, they usually taste really good. There's a little soy sauce boat there.
Thank you.
All right.
You want some of the sauce on
Yes.
that? Okay.
Right. So these are the cabbage dumplings. They're super cute.
Here comes some of the fried pepper. I love the color, the purple. You can see
I
through
know.
the translucent wrapper. It's just beautiful.
And you can pan fry yours a little bit longer if you want.
But you get the idea, yes?
And then, like I said, if you want that,
That sauce.
can you guys see that? So that's that. Let's put this over here.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy asks, how long do you think the wonton wraps refrigerated keep for? She doesn't see an expiration date on the package. I know my package has the expiration right on the front in like a red sort of blue, I guess, print, but maybe hers doesn't.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Here, I'll investigate. You keep answering.
I mean, when did you buy them? That's another question. I mean, a grocery store usually isn't gonna keep something out for
Here.
very long.
After opening, refrigerate and use within 7 days to freeze, place wraps in airtight container, 2 months of freezing.
Okay, so depending on when you bought them, that's what our label says. You can keep them in the refrigerator for 7 days or freeze them up to 2 months and then get rid of them after 2 months. Okay, and that's, I mean, I can't imagine.
That's just a general.
That's a general rule for almost anything, yeah. Although I'm a little weird with meat. After a couple days, I'm like, so. Anything else? Does anybody have any artwork to show us? Any beautiful
Samples, even if they're not so, oh, look at this. This is
Woo!
beautiful.
I love it. That
We
is
haven't cooked them
sweet.
yet. We're gonna cook all at the same time when we're done here, but she can bring over her little
Look at this.
dumplings as well.
Oh,
Oh,
that's great.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Amy, thank you.
sorry.
Awesome.
Amy, thank you so much for getting to the Rangoon. My family's back. I've got to make lunch for them, but thank you so much.
No problem. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna try it.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. The tip to put more fat in the pork made all the difference.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I ground it myself this time, so I was able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's excellent. Good.
What kind of fat did you use?
Well, the pork, I just bought, pork, and then I just made sure I put some of the fat in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That actually, yeah, works a lot. Works much better.
I wanted to say thank you all so very much. Yeah, this they'll be interesting. I haven't cooked them yet, but they're kind of cute on the little plate here. So thank you.
They are, and they're gonna, anything with that dipping sauce is delicious. So you can't go wrong, I'm pretty sure. So good.
Thank you.
Looks like we have one last question. When you pan fry them, how do you tell if they're done? Is it just the level of brownness?
Yeah, just till they get a little like toasty color, they're fine. Yeah, especially because they should have already been cooked like we discussed. So you don't have to really worry about it too much, just until they get a little bit crispy and they're a little bit brown.
So do we want to cut some open and show what they look like, the finished product of doneness?
Sure.
And taste maybe a sample?
I think John's hungry, I think is what he's saying.
It is lunchtime. All right, so here are the Rangoons, okay? And then the cabbage we know is done. And then here's the pork. Yeah. The pork is done. It's gonna look a little pink, but it doesn't, it's not raw. So you guys are, so it's good. So that's it. Are you hungry?
I am.
Do you want to bite?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
John's gonna
I'm gonna try. I've been waiting for Rangoon all day. Yes, I do. Yeah, got it. Perfect. Perfect.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Ah, we're at 12:48. We good?
So good.
Yeah. Right food. Can't go wrong.
Mhm.
Pretty easy.
The only thing different, once again, we talked about this earlier, I would add ghee.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we do. I
Yeah.
just didn't. But yeah, if you like hotter sauce, and like I said, you always have a spoon with you, a tasting spoon. Just dip in and see if the taste is good for you. Sometimes if this gets a little too acidic, if the dipping sauce is too acidic because of the vinegar or the, I just add a little bit of sugar and that kind of cuts that a little bit. Brown sugar or just white sugar, totally fine. Just make sure it's stirred in. So that helps too. Yeah.
Fried food, yum, this is good.
You can take a whole plate home. Any other questions?
Do you want to really quickly review what this average steam time is?
Yeah.
So average steam time for the cabbage would be about, or for veggie, usually about 7 to 8. I like to just make sure that the pork is done, so I go about 10 to 12 minutes on those.
Better to be safe.
Better to be safe than sorry. And if you don't know, if you think that they're done, and it's only been like 8 minutes, you think that they're done, just cut one open. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. So I'm gonna, I'm actually have a bunch of pork left over. I'm gonna put that in a vacuum seal bag. I'm gonna label it pork dumplings. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this shrimp. It's raw, it's not cooked. We didn't really use all of it. So I'm gonna do the same thing, vacuum seal, date it, and put shrimp for rangoons.
What about the sauce? How long can I keep the sauce in the refrigerator?
The only thing that would go bad in the sauce is the scallions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't put the scallions in, you can keep that for at least probably 2 weeks or so, like a salad dressing almost.
Yeah.
But if the scallions will get a little gooky.
Wilty.
Yeah, wilty. So if you want to pull the scallions out, you can. That's not a big deal. Or if you just don't want to add the scallions at all, you can keep that for a while.
Ookie, I love that one.
Ookie, yes. Ookie scallions.
Ookie.
Anything that's mushy. Are you doing anything fun this week? Oh, it's at the end of the week.
It's Sunday.
Well, it's like my Friday, okay?
I think
Sunday
you
is
gotta
like
work.
my Friday, well, my Thursday. Sunday is my Thursday. Yeah, so even though, well, actually, no, tomorrow is my Friday.
Tomorrow is your Friday.
So, or Saturday, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
But yes, I'm gonna be laying on the beach.
Jealous.
I'm very excited.
Jealous.
My wife.
Definitely jealous. I think, does anybody else have a question? Last call for questions. We can definitely give you information on how people are asking about the recording. So all of the registrants will be emailed that recording once it's ready, once it's available.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions that you didn't get in, you can always email me. I'd be more than happy to send them to you. You should have the recipes. If you don't, I have those as well. So just, like info@scholacooks.com, really easy email. Just, I would love to hear from you. And again, if you guys have pictures, I would love to get them on our social media.
Or come see us in person.
Or come see us in person, now that we're all pretty much,
We are.
We are, now that we are.
Well, I know that I'm getting hungry, so I'm sure everybody else on this on the call who've been cooking along are getting hungry also. So I will say one big, very, very genuine thank you to Amy and to John for taking your time today and not only teaching us a little bit of something, but also just having a great time and being so much fun. So thank you. I too will be looking at the website, and I know my 17-year-old daughter who has been following along will do the same. And I encourage everybody else here to do that as well. Lots going on, including I saw kids classes and kids camps and stuff like that. So definitely love to see what's happening at Schola as we start to open things back up.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been fun. Like I said, it's always so nice to have John with me. He's very entertaining and he's so knowledgeable. And he asks me questions I don't know the answer to. So that's always fun. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's been lovely. And like we've done a bunch of stuff with Hopkins now. So we appreciate you guys using us, and this has been fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day with your other class, but more importantly, travel safely and enjoy that beach.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.